Here he is, the pride of South Africa, making his first appearance on the program, Dricus Du Plessis. Wow. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey man, what's up? Good and you?
Where are you right now?
I'm in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about that. First of all, thanks for showing up without a shirt. So now I feel extremely, I mean, you look fantastic. If I didn't, if I had the body that you have, I would never wear a shirt, if I'm being honest. So well done. Not a lot of people do that.
I'm giving my best, but there's a few restaurants where they don't let me in, so
yeah,
I have to wear the shirt.
No, listen, I respect it. I respect what you're doing. I was saying earlier, and so I want to get your take. I speak French, and your last name sounds French to me. I would say, upon first glance, I would say Dricus Du Plessis is how I would pronounce it. How do you pronounce your name?
Du Plessis is the correct pronunciation. Dricus Du Plessis, yeah.
So why do they call you Du Plessis? What is this Du Plessis nonsense?
Listen, I've been called a lot of stuff since joining the UFC. I've been called a lot of different names.
Yes.
People are kind of struggling to get the name Dricus Du Plessis, but like I said in the last fight, it'll become a household name and people won't be struggling with it.
Can you tell us, what is the way that you prefer best?
Dricus Du Plessis.
Okay. Wow. Okay. That's not that hard. But they try to anglicize. So is there French in your family? Where does the name come from?
Yeah. Well, my name is French. My name is French. Like I have no French family. I'm South African since whenever, as far as I know, my family tree. So, but it's definitely the surname itself is French.
Okay. But yes, you are from South Africa and very interesting background. But I want to talk about the new news. Okay, so how many opponents officially was it? 3 that you had lined up for this card?
Yeah. So I mean, the Chris Curtis fight was the one that we prepped for. That was the big one. We got that fight signed in January already, I think, and he had to pull out. We got the Anthony Hernandez fight, which wasn't ideal, but it was like, I'm here to fight, so might as well. And but yeah, exciting fight all around. Exciting. And then they phoned me literally on the airport on my way here. I had to come a few days earlier. I came in 2 weeks before the fight because of the time zones. And they phoned me literally. I was in Dubai on my way to Florida, and they said, "Listen, Kelvin Gastelum needs an opponent. Will you take that fight?" And I was like, "Damn straight, I'll take that fight. That's where I'm supposed to be fighting anyways."
Okay, so you're excited now. This is the biggest opportunity of your MMA career, biggest name by far, big card, main card. For how long, in your mind, were you fighting Kelvin? How long did that last for?
Well, I mean, we got the call. It was on the Monday, and he only canceled the fight on Friday.
Okay. So for 5 days, you're thinking you're fighting Kelvin?
Yeah. For 5 days, I thought I was fighting Kelvin. Yeah, that was it. I mean, I basically said, "Cool, I'm giving up my opponent to make sure that I'm fighting Kelvin. It's a big opportunity, and it's where I believe I belong anyway." So it's just the stars were aligning perfectly up until he had to pull out.
Yeah, and what were you told? Why did he have to pull out?
Well, whatever it is that I've been told, I do not believe it, one bit of it. He said it's an injury, an undisclosed injury. Who gets injured a week before a fight? You have to ask yourself a week before a fight, what could you possibly be doing to get injured? And if he was injured, you don't know what the camp was like, but why would he insist on having a new opponent when Imanov had to pull out? So he wasn't injured on Monday because that's why he insisted on the fight. And all of a sudden he's injured on Friday, an undisclosed injury. That sounds very fishy to me.
So what do you think is the real story?
I think, they asked him in an interview. He didn't interview, and he just said, "Listen, I don't know this guy at all. He doesn't know me. He saw 2 fights. He saw the record. He's like 2-0 in the UFC." And I guess then they started watching tape, and that's where the problem started, to be honest.
So you think that once they dug a little deeper and they saw just how good you are, they're like, no, not for this one.
Absolutely. I think, he really needs a win. It's not beat around the bush. He needs a win. And this is a great opportunity for him. He's fighting a guy who's making some noise. South African guy. He's ranked number 20. That's what he's thinking. And his mindset, well, I already prepped for this fight. Let's get this easy fight, get in the winning column. That's the most important for his career right now. And then he watched some tape and realized, listen, this is no walkover fight. This is not a guy that's just stepping up for the opportunity. People saying, I have nothing to lose. I have everything to lose. Well, losing a fight is everything to me. So it wasn't I have nothing to lose. No, I'm above his level. That's what I feel. I just needed the opportunity to get it. And, once he realized that, he's a smart guy. And I've always been a fan of him. But I think at the end of the day, he realized maybe this wasn't really the fight that he needed to get back to the winning column. It's not the fight that's going to get him there.
And so when the UFC told you guys that the fight was off, then what happened?
Yeah, when they let me know, I was on April Fools. I was like, you guys screwing around. What's happening? I thought it was a joke, but, the fight was off, and I was like, well, cool. Am I going back to my original opponent now? That sucks. Fighting, I was on the main card where I feel I belong, in the top 10 where I feel I belong. But, cool, whatever. I'll fight Hernandez. And they were like, no, sorry, that fight's not happening anymore. Like, that's because he has a new opponent, which I understand. You can't leave people hanging. But, yeah, and there was just no replacement found. They couldn't find a replacement. They couldn't for 273. And, no, that's a big bummer for me. It's absolutely... I'm so bummed out. But, at the end of the day, everything happens the way it should. Right now, I flew halfway across the world, me and my team, prep for this fight for whoever steps in on the night. And like you saw, they offered me 3 different opponents, and I just said yes to every single one of them. I was here to fight on the 9th of April. I was ready. My body was peaking. I'm in great shape. My weight was on par to make sure I'm perfect weight. I'm not a small guy. The weight cut's not easy for nobody. So everything was perfect for the 9th of April, and just couldn't make it happen.
And so what is interesting is, as you alluded to, you were going to fight Anthony Hernandez. You say, no. Obviously you're offered Kelvin Gastelum, so you'll give that up. They book Hernandez against someone else, and now you're left without an opponent. But I'm assuming in retrospect you make the same decision, right? You had to take the Kelvin fight. You don't regret taking that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. No, not at all. Not at all. No, I do not regret that decision at all. Fighting where I feel, I'm fighting up. I'm fighting the ranked guys. That's where I belong in the UFC. They gave me that fight because I guess nobody else would take the fight. I'm not sure, but this is also a proving point that I know I belong there. I know I belong to the best in the world. And it wasn't even a hard decision. I felt great. I was excited because, the outcome would have been the same for me no matter who I fought on the 9th of April. I honestly believe, and I know for a fact, that whoever stepped in there on 9th of April I would have come out the victor.
Now, my understanding is they did offer you Andre Muniz. Is that accurate?
That is true. They did offer me Muniz, but that was for the 16th.
Oh, not for the 9th?
No.
Okay, and so have you accepted that?
No. So with the Andre Muniz fight, completely different fight, firstly, but fighting a grappler is one thing. That's pure grappler, which is not one of the opponents that we train for, but that we look past. I can look past that. The big thing is, peaking weight-wise. I already started waterloading to cut weight. We already started waterloading when we got that call. Putting your body through that, making sure that I already dropped weight and just postponing it a week, it's a tough call. It wouldn't be a smart thing to do. And I spoke to my conditioning coach, my weight cut coach, and he was like, well, that's not going to work. It's going to be very tough on my body. It's going to be, already did 5 days of water loading. What he suggested, and I told him, is we could do it 1 week after. If we had a 2-week gap, that would have been perfect. Or let's fight Andre Muniz on the 9th. That would have been perfect because that's where I want to fight. I'm ready to fight on that day. Or at least just give me 2 weeks so I can take my week to stop peaking and then start peaking again. Just get my body that you can't keep peaking for 3 weeks. It's not the way the body works. And this is a science. We're doing everything we can to be perfect when fight night comes.
So why didn't they just do it on the 9th?
Yeah, that was where I'm at. And you can argue and say Andre Muniz couldn't make weight 1 week earlier, which I would understand. But I was more than willing to fight a catchweight fight.
Oh,
I'm willing to fight a catchweight fight. If he can't make the weight, let's say we bump it up a few pounds if that's what he wanted.
And they were adamant on the 16th.
Yeah, that's what they said. That's where the space was at. That's what they wanted.
And then what about the 23rd?
The 23rd, I guess there's no that. That's something I would have definitely considered. I think that fight card's probably full.
Oh, geez.
So yeah, it's a tough situation. I'm here. I'm in the States. We are leaving Wednesday, but I'm not leaving. I'm staying in Florida. I'm gonna spend the month here. I'm gonna stay here for 4 more weeks. Spend some time in gyms around. My coach and team is heading back to South Africa. I'm gonna stay here, keep on training. Use this opportunity to go check out some other gyms and cross train a little. And you never know if something pops up.
I think that's smart.
I'll be ready.
So you're going to stick around to just because if you go all the way to South Africa, then you have to come all the way back. What did you come from South Africa this time, or were you in UAE?
No, I came from South Africa.
Okay, I thought you said Abu Dhabi, but maybe I misheard you.
No. We that's it. That was our layover flight.
Got it.
We flew from South Africa to Dubai. So on the airport, I got the call for the Gastelum flight. So yeah, coming ready. It's fighting the best guys in the world. That's what this is all about. And I've always tried to come in being the best guy in the world. That's where I'm at. I want to be the best, and I am the best in the world. I just have to get the opportunity to prove it, and it seems to be a little bit hard.
Would it be fair to say on this Monday when we're speaking, you're quite frustrated? You're there in Jacksonville. You should be fighting on this big card, and now you're left with nothing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's an honor for me first to be a South African representing my country in UFC, the biggest and the best fight organization in the world. Then getting the opportunity on a main card, people back home people are going crazy. This is for us. This is massive. South Africa is on their feet right now. People are supporting me like they would any national team. This is massive for us, and people were booking out hotels. People were starting to host events in this massive event that's happening when I'm fighting. There's nothing that we could do. It was completely out of our control. So yeah, frustrated is a bit of an understatement, but most certainly frustrating to not be able to come and show the world what we already know back home.
Is there any chance they rebook you and Kelvin?
That's the fight that makes sense to me right now. That's I think it's owed to me at least from Kelvin's side. I'm not angry at the UFC. I mean, this is a little bit out of their control, to be honest. I'm angry at Kelvin. I think what he did, and like I said, no disrespect, I've always been a fan, but now what he did is he literally took food off my table, if you can put it that way. I don't even care about the money. I wasn't there to become a champion as soon as possible, getting that top 10. And he took my opportunity to perform. He took it away from me. He took the 8 weeks of hard, intense training, my 12-week camp. He took all that away from me, all the hard work, everything that was spent from coaches to nutritionists to everybody that put in some sort of effort to get me to this point. He took that all away just because he didn't feel like fighting. He didn't like the risk. And, he made me give up my opponent. It was because of him. He's a bigger name, so they wanted me to give up my opponent, which anybody immediately did. And it is his fault. He postponed him. He postponed to cancel the fight. Nobody wants to take a fight on a week's notice. It's hard to take a fight, especially in the UFC on a week's notice. And here Gastelum comes and waits up until a week before the fight to say, no, all of a sudden I'm injured. When he insisted on a new fight, it's frustrating, and it's a bit disrespectful towards opponents and the sport as a whole.
Do you think are you getting the sense that the UFC is going to try to rebook this, or are they going to try to do Muniz? I think you guys were supposed to fight last year as well. So what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, the Muniz fight, sure, I'm 100% into that fight. It's a great fight. I do believe the Kelvin Gastelum fight is more the fight that's going to be a more exciting fight. And right now, it's the fight that I feel makes sense. Fans will absolutely be loving the fact that we're fighting. And I think what showed now was that they were worried. They were worried about that fight. So maybe they wouldn't want that fight, but I promise you that's the fight that I want. And if there's any way, sitting with the UFC, and this is the fight to make, and I believe to put me back in a fight with a number 30 ranked or 25th ranked opponent doesn't make sense if you're just willing to give me a fight at number 9. I have to fight. That's the fight that needs to happen. I'll fight Kelvin anytime. I don't know how. He said he wants to fight in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. Is that 274?
Yeah, that's May.
He said he would like that fight at home, but like maybe he can heal as fast as he got injured. So if there's any call, I'm here for 4 more weeks. It doesn't really matter where I am. I can fly in on a week's notice. Make sure that let's do it. Let's settle this. I mean, we were set to fight. I did him a solid to step in and fight, but he chose not to fight me. So take the time you need to prepare for me, because that's probably what happens. He needs to prepare for me, and now he knows that. When they started studying tape, they realized we are not prepared for this guy. So take the time, prepare for me, and let's do this. And I'll show the world where I belong.
And by the way, when the UFC told you guys that he was out, what did they say? Did they just say undisclosed injury? Did they say?
They said Kelvin's out. 100%. They said injury, undisclosed injury. That's it. That's the only info that I got.
I'm very sorry, because it seemed like.
Thank you.
Yeah, it seemed like just a really, sometimes when these fights fall through, there's a lesser fight that comes together. And the Nasruddin fight was interesting, but then when you got the call, when you got bumped up there, everyone was like, "Oh wow, this is exciting." And I know you say that you think you should be there already, but you weren't quite there just yet in terms of the fights, the names that you were getting. So that was very exciting.
100%.
You have a great background in striking and kickboxing. Your story is very interesting. In fact, you've also fans might remember, the hardcore fans, you fought Roberto Soldic twice in KSW, and now there's some talk of him coming over to the UFC. I know it's not something that they'd probably do now. Maybe you want to build to it, but would you like to do the trilogy with him?
Yeah, they wouldn't do that fight. I mean, I know it's been a hard road for them. They really been trying to get him in the UFC. So you wouldn't want to get him against me the first fight, because that will derail that high track fight one. So
you tried to get him in?
I put him at welterweight. Soldi's been in the UFC. The negotiations been going on for quite a while.
Right.
No KSW countering offers, and as far as the internet, that's the articles I've been seeing. But if they give him to me in the first fight, that's going to be a waste of a lot of negotiations, because I'll take him out in that first fight for sure. Like, we fought at 170. I'll never make 170 again. It was really grueling. No excuses at all. I knocked him out in the second round first fight, and I got TKO'd. He TKO'd me in the third round in the second fight. So it's kind of a 1-1. And I honestly believe if anything happens, that if he can do it, I honestly do not believe that Roberto Soldic is a clean fighter. Just their opinion. But no, he'll get his shot in the UFC. He'll get part of the testing pool. That's going to be his biggest fight, I believe. Is getting here that testing pool. And if he gets to the UFC and making middleweight, naturally he's not a middleweight. He's a average size 170. So it'll be great. If he does come to the UFC, I would love to welcome him at the 185 division. It'll be great.
Wow. Okay. First of all, it seems like you're in the hotel gym, right?
Yeah.
This is amazing. So you got like random people who are like, who's this guy who looks superhuman?
Yeah, I was just like, there was a family just walking by. I assumed they were like, what's happening?
Now, why did you choose to do this in the hotel gym? Just curious. Is your room not ready? What's happening?
Well, yeah, they were literally busy cleaning my room. And when on the time, and I was like, well, because I was downstairs in the lobby, and when I got to the room, I was like, okay, well, they can clean the room now. So I came down to the lobby again, and there's some conference happening, so there's too many people, and I was like, okay, well, this is the place to be.
Well, I appreciate going to those lengths. You said something very interesting there. You don't think he passes USADA? You think he's on the stuff?
Not yet, no. Oh, I mean, I have no proof of that at all.
Yeah.
I have no proof of that at all. I'm just saying he's not in a tasting pool. I'm not saying Roberto Soldic is on the juice at all. That's not the words. What I am saying is he's not in a tasting pool right now.
Got it. It seemed like you were implying something, though, which, let's be honest, others have implied as well.
What I implied was he's not in the tasting pool, so.
All right.
Get him in the tasting pool.
Fair enough. And what a background. Is it true that you grew up on like I don't know, what's the correct word, like a nature reserve with jaguars and all kinds of crazy animals?
Yeah. So that's we have a family. We have a predator and wildlife park.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's
What kind of animals
that's the
there?
way we grew up. Well, we have lions, we have tigers, we have leopards, we have
Whoa.
jaguars, all kind of snakes. I think there's wolves. We have wolves. There's quite a variety of cheetahs. There's a big variety of predators, and yeah.
How big is it?
Well, I mean, in hectares, we're probably looking at like 4 or 5 hectares.
Wow.
So
And this is your family owns
yeah,
it?
yeah,
And what's it for? Like people come visit?
yeah. It's a tourist. It's a. So all these animals are rescued animals,
Okay.
and it's a tourist attraction. There's a restaurant as well. So it's almost like, yeah, it's 100% a tourist attraction. People come watch it, take photos, all that kind of stuff.
Wow. And this is in like how long has your family had this? This is where you grew up?
Yeah, yeah. The park itself. We've been around almost 10 years,
Okay.
and but I mean, I grew up in a farm environment, so stayed in town, but we've been involved in farming our whole life, and yeah, that's the way we grew up. A lot of nature around us. We love nature, and being from South Africa, it's nature is all around us. So it's a very big part of our lives, and it has been a part of my life since I can remember.
And so why did you go down the path of combat? Like why didn't you stay in this business and
Yeah, interesting. Like my one brother is a lawyer. My other brother, he's in charge of the park, and he's an entrepreneur. Nobody else in my family really does this. I just got into it. I just loved it. The first time I saw it, I think I saw it on a movie, and I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And ever since I saw that movie, just a movie of people fighting, I was absolutely mesmerized by fighting. And I started judo at the age of 5, and I kept on doing that. I was always involved in some sort of martial arts, but that was more just for the fun of it. Around the ages of 14, that's when I really discovered my passion for martial arts in every single form, from kickboxing, boxing, the judo, the jiu-jitsu, every single aspect of it was just, and is to this day, the most amazing thing to me. I love this sport, and there's nothing in this world I love more than MMA.
could you make a living in South Africa as just a kickboxer? Or did you always have to cross over to MMA?
No. That was also a big thing. Kickboxing. I became an amateur Wacker world champion when I was 18, and that was obviously when I realized I was the first South African Wacker world champion in history. So I knew there was something special. I knew I had something special, but doing this as a career, kickboxing is just not a possibility in South Africa. And other than that, also, I don't want to be a guy that could be taken down by a grappler or wrestler and be murdered in the street. I want to be the guy that wherever the fight goes, I'll win.
And you were mentioning like the interest in your fight and people wanting to come over. Of course, Africa has seen a lot of great talent come through recently with Izzy and Kamaru and Francis. Are we starting to see a rise in South Africa as well? Are you going to lead the charge? Is there a great growing scene over there? What can you tell us about it? I know Don
Yeah,
Madge as
absolutely.
well.
I think, yeah. Don Madge is fighting PFL, and
Yeah.
he did great things in the UFC. He had 2 wins. We had Gareth McLellan, who's also a guy that I'm training with. He had a run, and he had a few hard fights. But that, as a pioneer, and actually being somebody that right now, those are the guys that entered South Africa into the UFC. They introduced the world to South Africa, but it's all about, it's different generations. They were the generation that just at the end of their careers to step in. Where I'm a young, new generation. I've never had another job since I was 19. I was a professional fighter, and right now I'm on a tear. I think I'm the highest ranked fighter in the history of South African MMA fighters for sure. I'm ranked number 20 if I'm not mistaken. So it's a massive honor for me to be able to pioneer South Africa and introduce the world to what we really have to offer. Because in the last 5 years, just in the last 5 years, how the sport's grown, how the sport's evolved, and myself being able to get wins in spectacular fashion in the UFC has just been so it motivated so many people in South Africa to say, listen, I can make it to the big leagues. If you work hard enough, you can make it to the big leagues. And South Africa, we have the EFC. It's a big league. It's a world-class league. We have there's international fighters. That's where I started my career out, is in the UFC, and I became a double division champion. There's a lot of real good talent there. And right now we're starting to see second and third generation coaches. And that's where the sport starts evolving. The sport's probably around 10 years old in South Africa, 10 to 15 years. So it's very, very young. And right now we're starting to see people like Don that made it, myself. There's a guy, JP Bates. He had unlucky losses. He didn't have a real good run yet. But it just shows that there's talent there. And there's all these guys, and myself, talking about myself, I don't train anywhere else. I cross-train now and again. But I live, I'm a South African, born, bred. I've never lived anywhere else. That's why I train. My whole team is South African. My whole team, it's the only team I've ever been with. And that's what we could offer. I mean, the fight speaks for themselves.
So in Florida now, you're just going to take advantage, go to some places like ATT, Sanford. Where are you going?
Yeah, absolutely. I've trained at Sanford quite a few times. I'm quite well acquainted with Henry and them, and I have a very good relationship with them. So I mean that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to head down to Fort Lauderdale, the area there, and go spend some time at Sanford. There are a lot of great guys there, a great camp, very wrestling and striking orientated, which is great for me. So they have some really badass dudes there. So it's going to be great to spend this time here. I am in the States right now. I'm in phenomenal shape. I'm fitter, I'm stronger than I've ever been. So I don't want to let that go to waste and just go home and wait for something to happen. I'm going to stick around and make the most of it.
So what's your prediction? How does this play out? When do you fight in against who?
Well, no, I'm not sure what the schedule looks like in terms of who is already booked and where there's a space available, which fights are going to happen, which are not going to happen. But in the ideal world, I would really like to get in there as soon as possible, and preferably against Kelvin Gastelum. That's the fight I want. That's the fight I want right now, and that's I've already had a taste of what it's like, and I know for a fact that I know in my mind, mental preparation, I know I beat him 10 times out of 10. I know I'm ready to beat. I'm going to beat Kelvin Gastelum, and I'm going to be in the top 10 where I belong.
Last thing, why do they call you Still Knocks?
It's a sleeping tablet. So as an amateur K1 fighter, my record was 33-0, and I had 30 knockouts. And my brother, every guy needs a fight name because that was what all the cool people were doing when I started fighting professional. And my brother came up with a name, and I didn't even know what it was. And he said, it's a sleeping tablet. And I was like, oh, that's a nice ring to it.
Wow.
And it stuck. The name stuck. And right now we have 2 knockouts in a row in the UFC. So I guess it is kind of applicable 100%.
Yeah, it fits. Are you at the UFC hotel, by the way?
Oh, no. I'm at I had to do my own accommodation up until fight week.
Got it. Are you going to go to the UFC hotel?
No. We're leaving tomorrow.
Okay.
On Wednesday, my team is leaving. So when they leave, that's when I'll leave for Florida.
Got it.
For Lauderdale.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry it played out this way. I was really looking forward to that, but I love the confidence. I love you shooting your shot and trying to get what you want and what you think you deserve. So I hope it works out for you. I'd love to see the fight, and congratulations on your success so far, not only in the UFC, but up until this point in your fighting career. Very impressive stuff, and looking forward to seeing you progress.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the show. It's a massive honor for me. Being a massive MMA fan, this has always been a big dream, and it's been great to be on the show. It's a massive privilege. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And we'll talk to you soon, okay? And for the record, Dricus Du Plessis.
That is it.
Nailed it.
Remember the name.
Remember the name. Thank you, my man. All the best to you.
Cheers, man.
All right.
I appreciate it, man. Have a good one. Cheers.